What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome to today's episode of Advanced Warfare Maps Exposed, the series where I cover all of the jumps, spots, and lines of sight that I know of on every map in Advanced Warfare. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the map Retreat. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's start off with capture spots for domination. Both the A and the C flag are really wide open, and there aren't really any capture spots, so we're just going to be focusing on the B flag today. So for the B flag, this is kind of situation dependent, but if you're coming from the A flag side and your enemies are on that side, most people will know this already. You just stand or you can lay down behind this pillar right here. You can't actually shoot through this pillar, so it's usually a pretty safe place to capture unless your enemy actually rushes you. So you kind of do rely on enemies having your back and making sure no one rushes you. If they don't have your back, then they could just simply walk up and shoot you in the side, because usually you won't be able to challenge them very well. Same goes on the other side over here. You can jump up on this table, use this for cover like that, or you can just lay down here and try and challenge enemies as they come through here. Both pretty good spots. One spot that people don't really expect, they almost always expect you behind those pillars. So sometimes, depending on the situation, I find capturing here can also be very effective, coming from both directions. This way, usually it just takes the enemies that extra half second. They also can't come up like this and shoot you. They have to actually fully expose themselves out in the open like this. So that's why I like capturing next to here. Every once in a while. Not every time, but sometimes just to throw them off. So the next thing I want to share with you guys is a bit of like an invisible ledge right here that you can stand on. I found this accidentally. It's not really all that useful. It might be in a very specific situation. Whoops. So basically you want to come up on this railing right here, and you just want to jump sideways and land on this little ridge right here. And look at that. You can kind of float in the air right here. This really isn't all that useful. Like I said, you're completely exposed to those guys over there. You have no cover, but in a very specific situation, if you expect an enemy to be coming through here, you can kind of take them by surprise and shoot them in the back, because there's no way they'll see you as they come up these stairs. The next spot I have for you is a little bit more useful. You can actually jump right up into here and you can look into this doorway. It doesn't provide you with like the perfect cover, but a lot of the times it's great for picking off one, maybe two kills and then just moving on. Moving on to the next thing that I want to point out are just a few check spots that you can use on these maps. Keep in mind that you can easily see through all of this glass here. You can't actually shoot through it. It is completely bulletproof, but you can see through it. So for instance, there's a hard point in this building right here. If you want to check to see if anybody's up on the stairs, you can easily just jump from here and you can see as you're in midair, you can see how many people are on the stairs or if anyone's laying down on the stairs or something like that. And then you can just know how to deal with those guys as you maybe want to go on their flank or do whatever. And this works kind of the both ways. So you can jump up like that, check out there. You can check middle by jumping that way. There's several different situations on both this side as well as the other side where you can use these windows that you can't shoot through. You can use them to your advantage just to check for people. Now, one really situation dependent spot, if you're trying to defend or attack the A flag and you know there's enemies on the A flag and you're up here, normally you'd have to hop right up like this and you pretty much completely expose yourself to them. Instead, I like to jump up onto this railing right here, walk over to this area, I can crouch, I can stand up, I have a whole lot more control of how much of my body I'm exposing to them, and I can still get a shot on a pretty good area of that capture area of the A flag, so it's a great way to defend the A flag. Now, if you've been playing this map a fair amount, you'll know that a very common spawn is down in those caves right there. If you have enemies that are coming out of that spawn area, a great way to challenge them from a relatively safe position is to jump up right here. And there you go. You get a nice little piece of cover here that you can use while looking into those caves. Just be aware if they come up to this doorway, you've got to be ready for them. And also, they could get on your flank here. So you'll want to have enemies, or teammates, sorry, having control of this area if you want to use this spot right here. So right up here on this sort of top level inside this building is a very popular place for people to camp or just lock down. There is a hard point in this building, so this is a very common place for people to sit and just sort of watch doorways. You might have somebody watching the back stairs and then a couple people watching these two doorways. And it's pretty easy to lock down if you have a couple people like that. What a lot of people don't realize is you can actually jump from here up through this crack right here. It's quite easy. I've actually gotten a triple kill through here and several double kills, and I constantly take enemies by surprise by jumping through that crack. So just be aware of that and use that to your advantage as you're rushing and trying to get on your enemy's flank. Now, over by the C flag, another spot that I found kind of accidentally in the middle of a game was this spot right here. If you jump to this ledge, you can use this as cover. It can be shot through, but it still provides you with some cover. So if you have enemies that are trying to pin you in this C spawn, I like to jump up here, challenge people that are maybe up top there, or just generally in this area right here. And it usually takes them by surprise, and you do have the advantage in that gunfight. Now, right inside this middle building right here, I just wanted to show you that you can jump on top of these if you want to. Normally, I wouldn't see a reason for it, but one thing that you can do is you can actually bank frag grenades into this building here, as well as that building there. So if you spawn in here and maybe you're playing hardpoint, or you just know there's enemies in these buildings, you can just bank a nade right off that. It'll land in the building somewhere, and you might get a kill from that. Alright, so now let's move on to the most important part of this video, and that is the lines of sight. I want to give a big thank you to a friend of mine, the One Boom, for giving me a hand with these lines of sight. He's helping me demonstrate these lines of sight, and he also helped me discover a bunch of these. So I will leave a link to his Twitter in the description below. So the first line of sight that I'm going to share with you is one that gets me free kills nearly every single game I play on this map, at least for domination. Right up here is a very popular place for people to hang out and try and defend the B flag. I have a great line of sight to counter these guys. So all you have to do is either come up behind this kind of curved pillar right here, which is also a great place to defend the B flag from, and you get a bit of a line of sight, or if you want a bit of a better angle on them, you can push up to where this planter is, and as you can see, you can only see really the bottom half of their body, and what this means is they can't see you, because their head is above where that line of sight is. So all they know is they're getting shot, but they don't know from where, so it's a great way to get free kills. The next line of sight that I have for you guys is to counter this really common spot right here. A lot of guys will sit behind this piece of cover because it gives you a pretty good vantage point, but I have a great way to counter them. All you have to do is back off all the way behind this little rock over here, kind of by where the C flag is in domination, and just crouch right here. And if you just peek right between that rock and over the top of that little peak, you get a really nice line of sight on them, and you're extremely difficult for them to see because of the backdrop behind you. You blend in very well to the background here, so it's a great way to pick them off. Now, if he's on the other side of that area, I have another line of sight to him. This one is very difficult to hit a shot on. I will say that up front right here. You pretty much have to be using a sniper rifle to actually get a kill, and even then, it's a really difficult shot to hit, but it is a great line of sight because you are pretty much invisible to him. As you can see, even with my scope up, I have no idea where I'm being shot from by Boom. So to get this line of sight, all you have to do is come back here right next to this post, and you can just sort of peek right over top of that little archway area right there. And as you can see, you can just barely pick out the enemy, but you can get a shot on them. It is quite a difficult shot to hit, especially if they're moving around at all, but it is possible to hit. The next line of sight is on another really popular area, and that is the area where I'm standing right now. I don't know why people like it up here because there's no cover, but it is a very common place for people to be. And as you can see, I had no idea where Boom was at the moment, and I'll just show you how to get to that spot. So basically, all you do is you hop on top of this light right here, and as you can see, you have a great line of sight to him, yet you are very difficult for him to see, especially because of that backdrop. Once again, you have those caves behind you, and it makes you very difficult to pick out against that background. Moving on to the next line of sight, this is pretty much the mirror to the last one, so if you have enemies that are hanging out in this area right here, I have a great spot to pick them off without them even knowing where you are at all. So for this one, I actually have two different options. So the first one is to come up onto the stairs right here and kind of head glitch over, and as you can see, you have a very clear line of sight on your enemy. But the other option is to come all the way back here, and once again, you have a really nice line of sight on him, and you're almost invisible to him. So this next line of sight is really situation dependent. Basically, if they come from any direction but this doorway, you're screwed, but you can see over this rock by just jumping on top of this little green thing right here. So for the final line of sight on this map, if you hop up onto this area right here and you just edge your way up and over a little bit just to the point before you fall off, you actually get a decent line of sight to that head glitch where enemies love to hang out. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Maps Exposed. Let me know in the comment section below which map you'd like to see me cover next. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.